Hello and welcome to This Is Steam is coming to your Xbox.
We have been talking about the drip of leaks and rumors about the next generation of Xbox. Rumors
well, are they
and
drips, or are they...
It's turning into a bit of a flood now.
You forgot to put an O-ring on, and now you got some spewing going out.
There have been some major new developments when it comes to what we understand about the next generation of Xbox, including some hardware that may be shipping this year. Yeah, you heard me right.
New Xbox hardware. They're way ahead of PlayStation because, as we all guessed it, everything's an Xbox. So that means it's just a PC.
There's a few individual bits and pieces. So a lot of this is thanks to recording from Jez Corden at Windows Central, as well as Tom Warren from The Verge. Bottom line is that we now have a much clearer sense for what the next generation of Xbox software will look like, aka Windows. And we also have a little bit of a better idea of what the hardware that will be running that is going to look like. So which one do you want to start with first? Because I gotta say, I was really geeked up when I was reading this. Let's start out with the software side of things. So we know firsthand from talking to some people, not only from Microsoft, but also Valve and Lenovo and Asus, that major things are afoot when it comes to Windows handhelds. Because let's be honest, everyone can agree that running Windows 11 on a handheld right now is less than a spectacular idea. And every single company who ships you a handheld slaps some gaming UI on top to make it vaguely sort of doable. It's just not a great experience when you compare it to something like the Steam Deck, which allows you to hop into desktop mode and do whatever you want. But also, you can be pretty happy inside big picture mode inside your SteamOS happy zone and not worry about it. So for a while now, people have been speculating that there would be some kind of much more Xbox-focused version of Windows, and it seems like that is coming true. According to both Jez as well as Tom Warren, the next generation of Xbox OS is going to be essentially an overlay over Windows. Now, exactly how much they lock that down, unclear, although based on some comments that Phil Spencer has made in the past about, hey, what if you just let Steam run on the Xbox? I actually think that we may get a fully open version of Windows on the back end, right? But importantly, if you're on a handheld, when you boot it up when you're first playing it, you would be in a much more Xbox-like operating system and theoretically even be able to play games that were designed for Xbox Series X or Xbox One or Xbox 360 based on how much of the sort of emulation and the sort of the backwards compatibility they port over. We could actually have a real version of Windows that has all the benefits of Windows, some of the drawbacks, but importantly, all the benefits of Xbox in a single device. That is exciting.
Thank you to Aviron for sponsoring this video. Finding the motivation to work out constantly can be really difficult, and picking the right equipment for your home can be super overwhelming, but Aviron makes it easy.
You want to keep coming back every day to play fun games and unlock those achievements. Did you know that you are 2.5 times more likely to stick to a workout program if it's gamified?
Do you like being competitive? Because
Yes.
We certainly do. We like to compete on our Apple Watches, and the Aviron can sync with your Apple Watch or other smart watches. You can add your friends to race against them and see where you measure up on the leaderboards. You can even race against your past self with the time machine feature.
It is a great workout because it is strength and cardio all in one. It makes cardio fun, and I think we can all agree, cardio is almost never fun. Rowing uses 86% of your muscles. That is more than half of your muscles.
If you're not into rowing, Aviron also has options for stationary bikes and treadmills. Ready to take your home workouts to the next level? Well, Aviron have their best prices a year on right now, and you can get an additional $50 off when you use code THISIS50. Check out the link in our description, and again, huge thank you to Aviron for sponsoring today's video. Well, I've been burned before.
You have.
Because the whole reason I bought an Xbox One was
Over a decade ago.
Over a decade ago is because we had similar promises in the past.
So back in the day, ye olden days, console hardware was very bespoke, but with the Xbox One, that was essentially just a PC. It was running Windows with obviously the Xbox operating system on top. Theoretically, that could have run Windows. It just, they didn't open it up.
I bought that specifically on the rumors that like, hey, this might be a thing.
Didn't you say that part of that was because I was also talking about it at the time and you saw my video talking about it? And
this asshole, as payback, I have infiltrated his company and I am taking it down from the inside.
So I think this is just worth sort of like pausing on because there's more to it. But like thinking about the idea of like sort of where Xbox is. We've talked about this several times over the last couple of years. The Xbox team, like it's in a weird spot. Because on one hand, you've got hardware sales that are not doing so hot. You've got major franchises that we haven't seen a new entry from for many years. But then on the other side, you've got Microsoft investing tens of billions of dollars into buying these huge studios, basically buying themselves into being one of the biggest video game companies in the world. And so these two feel like they're not compatible, right? What Microsoft have been doing is doing campaigns like everything is an Xbox. We're gonna bring out Halo on the Switch 2 or whatever the case is. Like they've been pretty clear that is the strategy. Not only just games on Xbox and PC, which obviously is a Windows sort of platform, but everywhere.
Well, they've changed their model of, instead of eating the whole pie, they're taking a bite out of everyone else's pie.
You know what? I think that's pretty. I can agree with that. That Nintendo pie looking pretty tasty.
Yeah.
How about some PlayStation pie?
Honestly, like, we predicted this. I mean, it's not like a crazy hot take that we predicted this.
The idea is that the next generation of Xbox OS, first of all, shipping on handheld PCs, later shipping on an actual Xbox portable, the one that's like sort of designed and made with an Xbox logo on it, as well as whatever the final successor to the Xbox Series X is. You boot into Xbox OS, you press one button, you hop out into the desktop, the regular Windows desktop. The other part of this rumor, Matt, is that we're about to see some hardware this year from Asus.
Which I'm surprised at. I thought it was gonna be Lenovo, who was the first group.
And it may be. This project is essentially going to be, theoretically, the very first handheld, the very first device that ships with this, let's just call it like Windows 11 Xbox edition or whatever. I don't think there's actually a real name. Obviously, we're going on kernels of what seem to be very authentic information. The idea is that next generation of the ROG Ally, the Xbox edition, whatever they want to call it, that thing ships later this year. You're getting the best of Xbox in that it should be easily kept up to date. You've got a UI that actually makes sense for not only a touchscreen, but also for a controller. You get all the Xbox games you could ever hope for, including hopefully support, or maybe even something like Series S games out the box, whatever. We don't know exactly how they're gonna do this, but theoretically, all the building blocks for running everything you do on Xbox should theoretically work here. And then with a tap of a button, a press of the Xbox key, whatever the case is, you can hop over, load up Steam, load up Epic Game Store, load up your copy of Bloons for Windows XP that you're running in compatibility mode on top of Super Nintendo emulator and 3 layers lower than your Ultra HLE. And
I think that's gonna be the big challenge here is the amount of emulation you're gonna have to do.
Can we just think about the technical side for a second, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say they want to get Xbox One and Xbox Series S, maybe not X, but Series S games up and running on this.
Yeah.
It's all gonna be AMD, so it would be theoretically hardware-wise fairly similar. I don't think it's crazy for Microsoft to, as long as the hardware is powerful enough, which it would be, that you couldn't actually just load up like Xbox One editions of games. Now, because it's running Windows, so many of these games have Windows versions natively, so maybe you want to run that. And the important distinction here is that while yes, there may be a Windows version, you still gotta go in and tweak the settings, blah, blah, blah. An Xbox version is meant to be like a console thing, which you know, you turn it on and it just works and it's locked and it's running in Xbox One mode or Xbox Series S mode or whatever the case is. And theoretically, you could also run maybe something like an Xbox 360 game or whatever, because that is already functional on existing hardware. If they're able to bring that Xbox experience over, I know I'm getting really excited about this, but it feels like it's kind of the best of all worlds. It could be.
It could be, but I feel like that's a lot to ask for a handheld. The real exciting thing is like being able to say like, oh, I could put my Steam library on this as well. We're kind of getting into, there's a lot of like the ARM emulation that, you know, like is Windows gonna have their own version of Proton? I feel like there's a lot of different things that need to happen for this to actually work with everything the way we because like it's easy to say like, oh, it's Windows, it just works with everything there. Yeah. But like the reason the Steam Deck works so well is because of Proton, and
it's got, you know, like, a decade of work or more on trying to get it to work. I think actually thinking about the Steam Deck is a really interesting counterpoint here, because you know, Windows handhelds have existed for a few years now, and the number one complaint I think for a lot of people has just been Windows is not good on handhelds. Like there's good elements of it, but like the interface, the experience, the keyboard, like so much of the stuff is not good. And it feels like everyone's been screaming, yelling, complaining, and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Valve have been continuously making not only the Steam Deck better and SteamOS better, but as we've discussed as a couple months ago, they're now bringing that out to other products. Honestly, I think Valve pushed Microsoft to make this sort of step, because come on, let's be real. Do you think that if Valve was not here putting pressure on, they would actually ship a version of Xbox OS? I can understand that they would, but I don't think it would be open. I think that if without them being pushed, you would be able to buy an ROG Ally with Xbox OS, the same kind of thing we're talking about, but there would be no desktop mode. There would be no Steam installer. You wouldn't be able to do any of that.
I'm pessimistic. Positive Matt's not here. This sounds like a cornucopia of options for the consumer. Does this make the next ROG Ally or the Legion Go so much more expensive if they have to pay now a licensing fee for
Windows Gaming edition?
Valve?
Think about it. Every time you buy a Windows handheld, you know, they're paying $50, $60, whatever the case is, to Microsoft for Windows. I would be surprised if this gaming edition is way more expensive. Like, I don't see why it would.
I don't mean specifically just the gaming one. Yeah. But I mean, like, if like you say, there's a competitive marketplace of here's all these different OSs now.
Oh, you're saying that like I'm gonna buy the same hardware, the SteamOS version's $50 cheap or something?
Is that gonna be a thing?
It depends on how good Xbox Gaming Edition is.
Is it gonna be robust where you could say like, oh, I can load up whatever OS I want onto these devices? Theoretically, that could work, but
that's a really good point. How much do they have to lock these things down for like
Like,
DRM?
yeah.
Like if you're running an Xbox One game and they don't want the secret sauce to get out.
That's where like it might get a little muddy, which is if they have that figured out, that's a really
really
exciting
good
time.
point. Yeah.
But I don't know. Once again, I think your big brain is filled with nothing but fluff because you're not seeing the bigger picture. You're looking too small. I want big. I want large.
Like Big Brain Boy?
What?
Big Brain Boy?
I want me big. If they could do this on a handheld, they can do this on your regular PC.
What? I could run Xbox games on my PC and PC games on my PC?
What did I say would be my coolest product last year?
I don't know, some haptic thing?
No, this is the year of haptics. I had said that like a gaming Surface tablet. There's no reason if they're putting this effort to bring this to a handheld market that they can't say, okay, we're gonna do a big picture Xbox mode that plays actual Xbox games, not the Windows versions. I think it goes in like what they've been doing because they've been kind of like, I don't want to say killing Xbox. Yeah. But they've definitely been transitioning from Xbox to Windows gaming.
Let me throw some cold water on it real quick.
I don't like cold water.
Can they, with licensing for games, can they like flip a switch and let you play Xbox games on PC? I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's some licensing thing or like...
I'm sure. Think of the average consumer. Hey, Judd. Is the average person going to know licensing deals?
Well, they just would know what games work on their thing and what doesn't.
That's already confusing to a lot of people of like that there is two versions of games, one for Windows, one for Xbox.
Can I throw a different idea at you for a second?
Yeah.
So there's so many ways this could go, right? Let's just talk like about the software for a second. If this Xbox Windows Edition is real, it clearly seems like this is the future of Xbox as far as what they're going to build the next generation on. Maybe they have tiers where like, you know, the 2024 edition, 2025 edition, whatever. So like, you know, the minimum specs and blah, blah, blah. But like, say they build this thing out today. Seems clear that they would use this and the next generation Xbox would have this sort of Xbox Windows Edition. What about going backwards? So if you think about the current Xbox Series and Xbox One consoles, they run very similar operating systems, right? If you have an Xbox One and an Xbox Series X plugged into the same TV, that interface is pretty dang similar. Is there a scenario in which they backport this? Can I load up Windows Gaming Edition? Or maybe it's just, I just update my Xbox in one day and suddenly, boom, I got full Windows on that thing. And suddenly I can go out and buy myself a $500 Series X, which at this moment is maybe not the world's greatest deal, but I'll tell you what, if that $500 Xbox or $350 used Xbox, I can download an update and suddenly I can run Steam on it. I can run Windows, Epic Games Store, whatever the case is. Does that not, in a heartbeat, triple Xbox Series S and Series X sales? Theoretically, if they have cooked up this special version of Xbox, this special version of Windows, could they not push a button and suddenly make the Series X and Series S super popular? To be fair, this is pure speculation. No one has said that they're gonna do this.
No, but like
they could.
I guess though it depends on, you know, one of the big things is like you say, how open this would actually be.
Yes.
I feel like that goes both ways.
Yeah.
Let me throw warm water on you.
Oh, warm water sounds lovely.
Yeah. If it is open the way Windows is currently, is there anything that stops Asus or Lenovo from making an Xbox in the future?
Then yeah, Asus want to make a little console guy. They charge $500 for it. They slot the same AMD chip in, but they don't need to bother with the screen and the battery and everything. And they ship a little like console box.
Think of it like this way: you have the NVIDIA Founders Edition, and then every manufacturer makes a 50, 80, whatever.
I think if we come back down to the console argument, Microsoft can subsidize and all these other guys can't, right?
Sure.
My other question for you is that so the Series S and X having a Windows switch, the next like theoretical Xbox, that might be the selling point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think like this is the future. Whether it happens sooner or later, exactly how open it is, all totally up for debate. We talk about how the last really 2 generations of consoles, Xbox has had a really rough go, but it's now, I feel like, I would say the last 2 to 3 years, I've been very much confused as far as like, I see bits and pieces, but it doesn't make sense. It's like Phil Spencer took the Jigsaw puzzle, shook it
not
up,
a puzzle.
tossed it all over. I'm like, I don't get what you're doing here, man. But now, I got the corner pieces in place. I got like half of a nose in the middle. I see it. I don't quite see the whole thing yet, but I see the idea.
I want to be excited, but also we can't
Okay.
have nice things because
No, but we can. No, but
Well,
look, they spent $70 billion. They've got to freaking make money on it. And they got to win.
But like we never like. How many times have we been burned? It's all these exciting things that sound great for the consumer. We could speculate all day long, and then like it comes out, it's like, no, this is just a overlay skin. I want to throw cold water on both of us now.
No, stop that.
We are getting very moist
I
in
wanna
this
hang out in the
episode.
sauna.
I think we are building expectations too high.
No, we're not. How about we have expectations all the way on the ceiling, and anything less than that is a complete and total disaster and failure? How about this, Matt? I got another thing for you. I've been holding this in my back pocket. There's one other element to this that we've been talking about, that we talked about not too long ago, the AI side of things. So they've officially announced that gaming Copilot.
I'm gonna check out for this one.
Okay, no. The idea is right now it's very simple. It's like Copilot, like, hey, can you download something to my Xbox or whatever? But the idea is that Copilot will actually be able to watch your games, give you feedback, remind you where you are on your games and whatnot. Would it not make sense if they're sort of thinking about the next generation Xbox spec to include an NPU, include AI sort of at the forefront, so that, you know, as you're playing on your ROG handheld with Xbox or your Series Z or whatever the case is, would it not make sense for them to also bake AI into that?
I think you did gloss over, because this is the first time I've actually been mildly excited about
Are you really? Mild excitement is technically excitement.
the Copilot AI stuff right now. Like
Yeah.
the gaming AI is very, very basic. But like what it could do is, you know, I grew up
On the 1-800 numbers for tips.
yeah, like a tip line. Every time I bought a game, I would also buy the companion book with it. The idea of having a Copilot to help you with that is, I think, kind of
Cool.
interesting and cool. I talk about Warcraft all the time. The amount of apps I use
Yeah.
as a companion to Warcraft. You know, Warcraft is a Microsoft product now. Let's talk about the scaled up cost of these things, because if we're talking about you know, Xbox PC, well, now we got to include an NPU. We got to like
Yes,
it's
which
like there's a lot.
would theoretically be part of the spec.
If we're talking about an Xbox handheld with all of these features,
Yes.
there's a lot to put in a handheld with there. And one of the biggest complaints about handhelds is battery life.
NPUs are pretty efficient though, man. I
Yeah,
think
but,
you
like,
could run an
it's-
NPU without making a huge dent in the battery life. I don't think the NPU is going to massively nerf your battery life. But again, this is all us speculating. What we do know for moderately sure, based on these very well-respected leakers, is that we're getting a properly overhauled version of Windows designed for handhelds and other similar kind of consoles that is going to have much more of an Xbox and importantly, controller-based focus. I think I can just safely say 100% of people are going to appreciate that. If they take away the desktop and yada yada, that would be unfortunate. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. We're given the dream case right here. But look, let's be positive, okay? Let's be positive little bees.
It's a
Oh,
great time to be a
Matt's back.
gamer.
Positive
There's
Matt's
so
back.
many options.
Yikes. What do you think about the future of Xbox and specifically the idea of Windows, Xbox mergers, and the idea of it being a glorious future of happy, wonderful sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies?
I heard that Xbox was going to buy PlayStation next. You, of all people, when your house burned down,
Rude.
I just like bringing that up.
I know you
It's-
do. It is really funny.
It
isn't
makes me feel better that I don't have a burnt house.
Yet.
So